Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tana Scoggin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and we have the wrong wallpaper on.
Jeff's still with us in spirit.
He's still with us in spirit, yes, exactly. This was last week, folks. We don't have Jeff Pulver on today. That was last week. So if you want to see that, please check his version from last week. I am a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess. I am a Galactic Ambassador, channel, Reiki, intuitive energy healer. I do stuff. What do you do, Jen?
More stuff.
More stuff?
I'm a registered psychotherapist, a certified Canadian counselor, intuitive life coach, energy, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, we have the correct border.
There we go.
So it has been quite a week. It seems like we say this every week, and every week I think, okay, now we're going to get a little break. Then we don't. So,
hey, it's about the journey, and the journey is always going to be full of its ups and downs, and that's just how it is. So we're always going to be
this is true.
On the road, feeling the feels.
So we're feeling the feels. How about you guys? I want to say a quick hello to Fogo Pogo. Kaylee, hi, how are you? I hope you had a good weekend as well. And hello to Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to see you. And thank you. Yes, I don't often wear yellow, but I felt called to do that today. I was like, I need to wear something sunny and bright. And so this is it. So
there you go.
We are in yellow today. So it is an interesting Schumann at the moment. So I'll go into that, and then you can give us the transits. How does that sound, Jen?
Sounds good.
Good. All right. So let's just take a look at that, because it is quite impactful today. We do have a power here of up to 80. See, we've got, or 72 we have at the moment. You can see here on this screen that we had one here 2 days ago that was a huge spike here. And then I have had a couple of big things today as well with some interference. So the white is the spikes in energy that we often have. And so you can see here we have a power of 72, keeping in mind our base number is commonly 7.8 hertz. However, we have had a number of spikes, and today is no exception. We're up at 72 at the moment, and we've had numerous stuff going on here. You can see this graph here. We've got a bit of a spike here. So it has actually been a little bit quieter in the last month. We were seeing an awful lot more of these spikes, but as you can see here, big ones last week, and another couple in the last couple of days. So yeah, so there's lots of stuff happening. We did have a CME as well, which is a coronal mass ejection. You can see here we had it on October 18th, and it hit on the 19th late evening, so into the 20th really. And so that also affects the spikes and stuff that we get on the earth. So we have lots of that kind of energy going on. And a big hello to Michelle. Hey, Michelle, from Astrological Tarot. Oh, well, that explains why I was drawn to wear it. She says, yellow is a great color to wear during eclipse season. Guru Chandala Yoga, as it's attributed to the sun and Jupiter. Awesome. Thank you. And a big hello to Sharon. Hey, Sharon. Thank you for joining us. And we're really sorry to hear that you have COVID, Kaylee. Sending you tons of healing vibes for that. Hopefully you get better soon. Hello, Kazumel Liz. How are you doing? Hugs to you as well. And let's go to you, Jen, and find out what the transits are for human design.
Sure. Yeah, so
I drink my tea.
Huh?
As I drink my tea in my You Are Magical cup.
It's a tea kind of day.
It is a tea kind of day. It really is.
My tea is still very hot. So yeah, we are right in the middle of the 50th gate, the 20th to about the 25th, so smack dab in it. It is the gate of values, or for the gene keys, we're looking at this idea of moving from the shadow of corruption to the gift of equilibrium and to the siddhi of harmony, right? So when we kind of break it down, it's, this in the I Ching is this cosmic order kind of piece, right? And what does that really look like for us? And, a big part of what's going on right now is, harmonics in the universe, right? We talk so much about frequencies and what's going on with the frequencies and where we're at and what you're talking about, even with the Schumann resonance and the frequencies in the universe and all of that. And it's hard to find equilibrium when there's this kind of alertness to all of the frequencies that are happening around us,
Yeah.
and having to constantly be adapting to these changes, right, that are happening. And it's an interesting piece because the idea of values and the energy around values and rules, like this gate has a lot to do with rules and with, on the shadow side, this idea of corruption, right? And corruption, often we're looking at corruption of rules or corruption of values. And Richard, when he talks about it, takes it, even a little bit more deeply into looking at corruption of data and things like that. And what he's getting at here is this idea of, the information that we use to build our societies, right? And the social hierarchies and things like that, that we get ourselves, we kind of rule ourselves with, right? And the energy right now is a lot about kind of evaluating that and what does that look like. And, on the shadow side, we have, repressively, we're looking at overloaded, right? And just kind of that idea of just kind of submitting and just taking it all on, the people pleasing, right? All of those kinds of tendencies that we have, being unable to set a boundary or set a limit. And on the, reactive side, it's that complete irresponsibility of just being like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not taking on anything. I'm not doing any of it.
That's what I feel like. I'm like, yep, not going to do it.
Yeah.
Which of course doesn't work. But
well, no, and we can't, right? And it's an interesting thing, like thinking about how it shows up. Like I was just saying to Tanis before we got on the show, yesterday, it was like, I was like, I can't do anything. Like I need to just have a day of just taking it easy and relaxing and sitting back and kind of grounding and regrouping and all of that before I move into another week. And it is that piece of, how do we find equilibrium, right? How do we get into that place and not allow ourselves to become overloaded and not get to that place of just being like, screw it, I'm done. I'm not taking on anything else.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's really a lot of energy right now about that. Richard talks about this self-organizing intelligence, right? And this ability to kind of take that step back and really be able to understand, what we need in this moment to find that equilibrium, right? So, noticing that those pulls or those tendencies that might make us, want to give up or give in or whatever it is, and go, okay, yeah, I understand that that's something that pulls at me, but that's not going to actually serve me. But clearly, I do need to take time, right? Because what I'm doing right now isn't serving me either. So, how do I find that space and how do I take it so that I can balance and find that equilibrium? Because once I'm able to manifest that equilibrium in my experience, that's where I'm going to be able to find harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that is the siddhi, that is that kind of enlightened place that we can come to if we're able to maintain that equilibrium. Right?
Yeah, I think that equilibrium is an important concept for sure right now. Really making the time to do the meditative practices, do your spiritual practices. For me, I know that helps me to find that equilibrium when I need it. I've had a few days where I've been like, okay, I just need to go and do my meditation. I'm like, okay, I just need to go and meditate. Because it's just a lot, if you're not taking care of it and showing up for yourself and doing that kind of thing.
Well, and it's such an important piece too, right? Like we talk about the idea of the shadow of corruption and what that looks like. And especially when we look at, the reactions to it and how much we can be pulled to do other things or to give up on doing the things that we know we need to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm too busy to do my meditation and to do my practices, right? Or I just don't care anymore. I have no more energy left, right? And we have all of these things that come up for us that stop us from doing the very things that we know are going to be what helps us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, part of the spiritual journey is learning to either leave yourself messages to remind yourself to do it, or, tap into your community where they go, so you're not feeling well. Have you done this? Mm-hmm. Right? That kind of reminder is always a good thing as well, right?
Well, and I love the tapping into the community with Pogo Pogo and Michelle's conversation here and how it is all connected, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to get the message. It doesn't matter where or how, we're going to get it if we're meant to get it.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So we have lots of stuff coming through here. Let's see. So actually we have Jen. Hello to Twisted Sushi. Amanda, thanks for joining us. Michelle says she loves your voice. And she was listening to you at Tuta Speaks this morning. One of the messages that came through was the not overburdening yourself with things. Oh, to JJ. That may not be you. I was thinking you were JJ because Jennifer Jurkofsky and all.
Oh.
So I don't know. Anyway, so amazing how it comes through in human design this week too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's wonderful, Kaylee. I love how all the modalities merge. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all connected. Oh, it's another Jen is who she was listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And just lots of love.
Yay.
Oh, the one that does light language with Gerald. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, we all tend to get similar messages when we're on this path of the one we're all on. The readers, the channels, we get similar messages because the energy is similar, and that's what's in the collective at the moment, right? So we tend to tap into the similar chords of information. So very cool. All right. So as per our usual modus operandi, we pick a topic from James Prog's Soul's Journey. So let's see what topic comes out with all of this interesting energy. I feel like I needed to put some air quotes around that. You can't make it up. That's right. Mm-hmm. You can't make this stuff up. There's another word I sometimes say in there. Let's say stuff. What do we need to talk about, guys? What's coming up for all of us to talk about? Let's see what comes out. Oh, heavy one today. Blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And isn't that what we were just talking about? If we don't feel good, we don't want to do anything. So we need to accept
Can't make this
responsibility
stuff
for our
up.
well-being. Exactly. We can't make this stuff up. Of course, they're like, yeah, you need to, here, talk about this because obviously you need to.
Mhm.
I'm sure that's for me.
It's so true.
Oh dear. So, what do you guys think? What does blame mean for you?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
and
it's based on expectations, really, right? When you blame somebody, you expected them to act differently.
yeah, we're expected them to make you feel differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's such an interesting thing. The conversations that I have often with clients too, right? Because we talk about locus of control, right? And this idea of, what we have control over versus what we don't have control over, right? And often when we look at blame, it's very much about we've given our control to something external,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we've gotten upset because that thing that we've given our control to has not made us feel the way we've wanted it to make us feel,
Yeah.
right? And instead of going, I'm upset that I gave my power away, we go, I'm mad at you because you hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it's an avoidance tactic. In many ways, it is. It's about not looking at our own stuff, right?
Yeah.
And doing the 5 whys and why am I feeling the way I am, rather than that we decide that that person is the reason we're feeling the way we are, when really it's the triggers that are making us feel that way from our own stuff,
Yeah,
right?
most definitely.
So
And again, as a caveat, and I know we've said this before, like obviously we're not talking about situations where somebody is in an abusive situation or anything like that. We're
no,
talking about, the kind of day-to-day situations that we find ourselves in where we are experiencing suffering that we could ultimately be doing self-reflection on and recognizing our own kind of role and responsibility in those moments.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there are times when when we're getting hurt and we don't have control
Yeah.
in that situation, right? In an abusive kind of way, that is the case. um, But I think in the everyday situations, like you said, we have more control than we like to give ourselves credit for. And that's because we don't want to take responsibility, right?
The number of times I have had somebody say, you know, that's really scary, Jen. Right? That I have that much power and that much responsibility over how I feel. Right? And it's true. It is really scary to look at it and go, wow, my suffering is my responsibility. That's a really, really scary thing to look at.
Well, especially when you're in that victim mentality, and then it's like it shatters how you see things,
Yeah.
right? And so that's like it's also about, what do you mean the whole paradigm is different? How can you say that to me, that the whole paradigm is different than what
Mhm.
I've always been told?
Yeah.
Because it's quite paradigm shifting when you think that you have that much control or that you are capable of doing that. And we're not saying it's easy,
Oh,
right?
God,
Taking
no.
responsibility and accountability for your own emotions and healing work and getting through that, it's not easy. None of us have an easy time with it. That's part of the journey, though. It's part of why we're here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge
oh,
one,
yes,
actually.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's not blaming your past self for not knowing. That's
Hmm.
the other thing, eh? The self blame.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other piece, right? Like, we come to a place where we recognize, you know what, in that moment, I did the best that I could do with the information I had.
Yeah.
I didn't know any differently, right? And, you know, the number of times we've looked back, you know, this whole hindsight's 2020 nonsense. It's like, I can look at it now, and then with the knowledge I have now, I decide that I'm going to beat past me up because past me didn't know that. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Would you get mad at a child because they didn't know how to do their taxes? Like, I don't get mad at adults for not knowing how to do their taxes. You know, it's the same concept. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. And it's perfectly okay to have not known,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the matter of, you know, now you're going to do something different. But we can't go back and be mad that we couldn't have done something different then, because then we didn't have the capacity, we didn't have the knowledge, we didn't have the understanding, we didn't have whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
But blame is such a hard thing to work with. Right?
It
All
is.
the shoulds and all of those things that we
Shoulda, coulda, woulda things.
those, all of them.
Yeah. Sharon says she had surgery on Friday. Well, we're sending you tons of healing.
Oh, most
Sharon.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're doing good.
Yeah, that's good. Sending you healing vibes.
Most definitely.
So what is the crux of blame then? You know? Is it I accept responsibility?
Yeah. I mean, I really love the affirmation that went with that, right? I take
Mm-hmm.
responsibility for my own well-being.
Yeah, I accept responsibility for my well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So if we're taking responsibility, then we can't blame anybody because the blame is on us. But then we have this catch-22 because we don't want to blame us for things that we didn't know, or we didn't understand, or we weren't in a place to see properly, right? Because sometimes it's just that you don't see things the way everybody else does. And where is that line? Because it's also, I mean, it's also about like the responsibilities that you feel rather than taking on the responsibilities that people think you should feel.
Yeah.
There's that piece too with that, right?
Yeah.
What is really your responsibility?
Well, and I think a big piece in all of this is, you know, we're told that we have to lay blame somewhere, but why does there have to be blame, period?
Yeah.
Right? If we take ownership and we take responsibility, again, this idea of blame, why does that have to come into it? Why can't we just say, you know, I recognize that this narrative that I'm holding is making me upset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now what do I want to do with it? There doesn't have to be blame in that.
Yeah.
Right? There's awareness and there's acceptance. And then there's movement. Right? I either continue to move in the direction of making myself upset or I move in a different direction.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we, you know, if we have to go, well, is it my fault or is it their fault? We're never stepping away from needing to hold blame.
That's right. Yeah. Is it the whole human being and having to label something? By blaming, we're identifying instead of just letting it be. I would say, yeah, I think that is a human thing. I think we're programmed for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think about even in the justice system, right? People, a crime that's not solved,
Yes, unsolved mysteries.
Unsolved mysteries. Yeah. They need to find somebody to blame. Someone has to take responsibility for this, and it's because, I mean, in those cases, there is somebody responsible for it, because like we talked about, if it's something, violent or aggressive like that, then it's a little different than holding it. So how do we deal with that, with the blame thing then, in those kind of situations, right? Like the whole, even day-to-day stuff. So when we're working with, I know when I work with the Ho'oponopono with people, right, it's about the whole, sending forgiveness and stuff to the whole rather than the actual. But I know people have resistance to using it, because they don't really understand that concept of, we're healing the whole, we're healing the connection, and that sort of thing, right? As opposed to it being, I'm forgiving somebody for something, which does that imply that there had been blame?
Oh, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it also implies that, the other person, there's so much that's wrapped up in that. Like we have this need for validation, and we have this need for the other person to understand what they did to us, and we have this need for all of these things to come to fruition before we allow ourselves to move on from something.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that need and that holding on to all of those other things that keep us in our suffering. And
Yeah.
it's not the other person that's doing that. It's
Right.
us that's doing that. Right? And I think that that's why when we talk about the Ho'oponopono being ultimately for ourselves, that's the reason why, is because when we talk about this idea of forgiveness, the event happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And yeah, we can work on forgiving the event, but there is a part of us that is continually wounding ourselves from it. And that part has to be released.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
And we hold on to this blame, and it's so much easier to continue to hold the focus of blame on the other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then I don't have to look at how I'm continuing to hurt myself. And if I allow myself to forgive the other and I still suffer, oh shit.
Then it's all me. Right? Yes, there are some people that use it as an identity. For sure.
Right.
Big hello to Betsy Palmer, medium Betsy
Hey,
Palmer.
Betsy.
Hey,
Thanks
popping
for
in between
joining
tasks.
us.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because people have a hard time with responsibility, because it's scary. If I'm to blame, my God, I did something wrong. I'm not perfect. What do you mean I'm not perfect? Oh, hi, you're human, right?
Oh, this human thing.
We're not supposed to be perfect.
No.
We're perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're gonna mess up. And the other
Annie.
piece too is we're gonna mess up, and we're gonna mess up in the same way. And we're gonna do it over and over again. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this
I
is
mean,
really
I always joke about
yes.
being a slow learner. It takes me a bit to figure out, oh, wait. Wait, if I do this, this happens. Oh. Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is about the we're human thing, I believe. We're not supposed to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, coming into the conversation, you're responsible for your own feelings. Let the others be. Let them and be you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And if we're able to get to a place where we can work towards, and I don't say remove, I say work towards removing blame, we're going to be able to experience life in a very, very different way. Right?
Yeah.
Because in that moment, we're able to really be in the present and say, okay, what's really happening right now? Right? What's really going on? How am I feeling? What's happening inside of me? What is going on with the other person? What's, coming up? And how do I really want to navigate this? And is this something that is actually important to me? And is this my narrative? Is there actually something I need to focus on here? Can I let this go? Right? We can do that reflection.
Yeah.
But the moment that we let blame take over, we've embraced the narrative. We've completely owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've jumped into that rabbit hole and we are digging.
And like Kaylee says, sometimes we blame others for something they aren't even aware of.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yes, definitely, Annie. Everybody's going through their own journey. Travel through yours with compassion to yourself and others.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Such an important piece.
Definitely.
Right. And so when we talk about, how do we combat blame?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Compassion is such a beautiful way to do that.
Yeah. It's almost the opposite of blame, isn't it? Almost. Not quite, but almost. If we're showing compassion and forgiveness, that's the opposite concepts to blaming somebody for something.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you brought up, like with the legal system and justice and all of that. And years and years ago, I did a course on restorative justice. And, when I was working on the curriculum, I remember, reading about different ways that it had been used. And, I love the idea of, being able to actually bring all of the players together.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you'd like to describe what that is, the restorative justice, because I'm not sure everybody would know what that concept is. And it's interesting, right?
Sure. There's a lot of different ways that it's used. So I know in the schools now, they're actually, well, I don't know all of the schools. I know the schools here, they actually have some programs in place where they're starting to bring in some of it. And in some indigenous practices, they also have like circles and practices that bring in restoration as part of the way that they work. But basically the idea is that it's a approach to justice that works on repairing harm as opposed to punishing for wrongdoing.
Right.
So the idea is that instead of looking to, judge a person and then just punish them for a crime, you would bring the people involved together, and then any supports that, say, the victim would want to have together, and you would help to restore this community within, and also the person's punishment per se would be more in line with restoring whatever they did wrong, right? But the component of it that I'm talking about here is this part where they would all come together, right, to have a deeper understanding of what is going on for all of the parties involved, right? And so it's such an interesting piece to be able to recognize the humanity in, the person who committed the crime, and for that person to see the impact that their crime had on somebody else and have the opportunity to actually feel for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, we don't often allow for that in our justice system.
Right.
Right. We just blame and go, you're at fault. and off you go.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it, right? We don't hold space for compassion across the board, right? And compassion really can open the door for change.
Mm-hmm. I know I've seen some examples where, they have victim statements, for instance, in court, which I suppose is a form of that. If you're talking about, bringing the parties together and creating shared understanding, I guess, the families of the victim or whatever would be, or the victim themselves sharing, what impact it had, which would create that shared understanding in a way. So, I mean, I think there's aspects of it, but I'm just not sure it's done exactly in the right vein, so to
Yeah, and
speak.
it's not to the same extent, right? And I mean, even
Mhm.
what we do in the justice system, where they bring in restorative justice, to the extent of what, you know, the studies and all, and what I've read into, and the depths that I've gone into it with, to what is actually being practiced and all, like there's a difference in the capacity of what could be to what
Right.
is,
Yes,
for
of
sure.
course. Yeah.
But really understanding what could be is quite an incredible thing,
Hmm.
right?
Well, and we're all around that right now, in terms of looking at the systems and how they could be going forward. Like, that's a big thing that's coming up in the next couple of years, I think, is that's going to come into the spotlight on a global level in terms of these sorts of systems. So it'll be interesting to see if they can harness some of that, some of the concepts of restorative justice and stuff in those systems that are at the moment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it makes me think of there's a couple of tribes that, and I'm not sure where, so I'm not even going to try, that if someone does something wrong, it's not a blame, it's a bring them in and heal them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do a whole healing ceremony around them, because there must be something wrong for them to have done something like that. So there must be something that they need healing on for them to have done what they did, kind of thing. So that's, to me, that's a similar kind of concept. They're like, okay, let's heal this person, because obviously there's a lack, or there's a change in a difference in understanding or something. So let's do some healing work on them and try to create that shared understanding. So to me, that's a lovely way of kind of looking at it. I think that there is a lot of work we could do in this area.
Yeah,
Right?
but it takes moving away from blame in order to be able to be open
Mm-hmm.
to a process like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people really tend to hang on to that blame.
Mm-hmm.
So big hello to Heather from Indigo Jaguar Intuitive Arts. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for joining us. And Annie says, yes, she's seen documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. It's community healing. And it's a way for them to come together. So it is much like you were talking about with the restorative.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So very cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's the piece, right? Like when we talk about, blame and how blame shows up in our experience, it's so funny, because I think it shows up so often and we don't even notice it sometimes, right? Like, you get up and you stub your toe on something, and it's, who left this here? And then it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, very programmed. Like, it's
you
such
walk
automatic.
into, right, and it's like, who didn't do this? And then it's like, da 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 da, and it just becomes this kind of like spiral of all of the other people who didn't do something that made your day miserable, or that did do something, right? And and then traffic, and it's clearly somebody else's fault that there's traffic out there in the world, and
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
And we have this kind of like programming within us to always be putting that blame out there,
Yeah.
and on such mundane things all of the time. that when it comes to things that are more important for us, it's easy to follow suit and continue to do that. It's hard to catch ourselves and go, wait a minute, what am I doing? Right? What is going on?
Yeah. I had this interesting download. So it was from the guides there. I think it was in the spring. So it was the spring eclipse season. And it's an acronym. So I thought I would share because it's kind of relevant. And so it's about sheltering and protecting your relationships with SHAC, sharing, helping, authenticity, compassion, and kindness. Mm-hmm. So, it can be other things as well, right? Not just sheltering and protecting, but, encouraging relationships and looking forward with that. It was an interesting download when I got that. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, SHAC. So use SHAC, guys. Use SHAC, the SHAC method.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. We've got some talk going here. Where are we here?
Yeah.
Let's bring that through.
How about everybody else, right? Like how does blame show up in your experience and how do you navigate it, right?
Well, here's one with politics and protests and everything. It's all blame. And blame, that's the other thing about blame, is that's what creates separateness. Mm-hmm. As opposed to creating community and cohesiveness, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when it's always, well, it's them doing this and it's them doing that. And
mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you guys? What do you think a good example of blame is, and what is the root of it?
Mm-hmm. Or how do you combat it?
Or how do you combat it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? And would SHAC work? That's the other question.
Mm-hmm. Can you put SHAC in the chat? I know I can't, but is it possible?
I can't do it as a picture because it won't allow me to, but I can put it there. Sharing. Oops. Extra M in there, but
helping.
You get the idea.
Good. Helping is good. Helping.
Helping. I just shared it on our page too, Twillow Lifestyle page again too, so you can take a look if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that went through my mind too.
Maybe I was thinking maple sugar shack. Yes. I was thinking love shack.
Yeah, that's what indigo. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, love shack, because it's all about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Narcissistic blame is worst. Jonathan describes it perfectly. The narc to the victim. Why are you making me hit you? Mm-hmm. Yes. Now that's stuck in your head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Earworm. Love shack, baby. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, when we talk about things like narcissistic blame, we're getting into the abuse piece of all of it. Yeah. It is really hard, right? And it is hard to navigate because as a victim of that, it's very difficult to not fall into blaming yourself, right? And questioning yourself and wondering if there isn't something that you are doing when really there isn't anything that you are doing, right? And ultimately, there is the need to leave a situation like that, but that's not always easy either, right? And there's a lot of things and complications that go along with being in a situation like that. And, then there's, blame and everything else that comes into it of why am I staying and why can't I get out and what's wrong with, how it goes.
Yeah.
And so, I think that, again, compassion is really the only thing that we have that can help us navigate that. And then, of course, outside support.
Yes. Sorry.
No,
I'm
I know you
giggling.
guys are going to keep going on with the song, which is going to be great. I just didn't
I'm
want to
giggling
let
with the
that
song,
statement go
folks.
without addressing it.
Yes, I'm giggling with the song, folks, not about what Jen's saying, just to be clear, okay? You don't need to stop. It's fun. I don't want to get super political or into anything, but what's happening in the world right now, all blame. There may be no right or wrong in it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just divisive, right?
Yeah.
Blame is divisive. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But anyway, you know what I mean.
It is.
Divides people.
Yep. It really does.
Yeah.
Whereas putting glitter on the highway will cause collisions. No division there.
But you can shack your relationship.
Yeah, and I'm sure nobody wants to take responsibility for putting that glitter on the highway either.
That's right.
Except for the B-52s who sang about it.
Yep. Absolutely. It's cute because my cousin, she refers to, when you've got the gunk in you and stuff, you're trying to heal stuff. She refers to that stuff as dark glitter. I need to get rid of my dark glitter.
Oh my.
So she gets healing, energy healing done, and it's getting rid of the dark glitter. Glitter fest. Woohoo!
I love it.
Glitter. Absolutely. Well, it's a heavy topic.
It is.
I have to say. I'm glad that we're talking about because really, it's very heavy.
Yeah. And yet it's really also such an amazingly freeing thing if we're able to move through it and past it, right?
This is
To
true.
be able to take responsibility for our well-being and know that we don't have to live in that place of blame.
Hi, Pisces greeter.
Yay.
Glitter's like sand, though. Be careful where you throw it around. Yes, because it gets
And you'll
in
never
your
get rid
eyes.
of it all.
You won't. That and confetti. Oh, okay. I have a funny, amusing story about confetti, since we're kind of on that vein.
I should not have read that while I was taking a sip of my tea.
Which, the craft harpies?
Enough now.
Yes, that's right. That is what the problem is, right? People don't want to bring solutions. They only bring more problems. Yeah. When I was managing the confetti story. So when we were getting married, our best man and maid of honor, they were, or not best man, but one of the groomsmen and my maid of honor, they were over the night before the wedding, because we had, of course, rehearsal dinner and stuff. And so they gave us our gift. They gave us a whole set of beautiful white towels. And every layer had a beautiful layer of confetti. So we took them out. Confetti went everywhere. We found it for, I think, another 10 years in my mom's house. Because it was at my mom's house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Yes, it is hard to remove, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh no.
Oh, we were sending you healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, Heather.
Yeah, there's truth in that too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got sand there, that means you've been to the beach, and that is an amazingly wonderful thing.
It is. It might be grounding because you're immersing yourself in sand. Oh. Yeah, those are nasty UTIs.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Sending you more healing.
Mm-hmm. Sending you lots of healing.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Well, can you believe it? Sorry. Can you believe it? Heather was 20 once. This is how this read in my brain, because I went to read in the middle of my thought.
Where did that even come from? I'm just lost tonight. It's okay. I'm gonna drink some tea.
I think we're still talking about
I'm just gonna laugh and
sand and grounding.
Gotcha.
Yes, like, can you believe it? It's like almost been an hour already.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a lovely chat about blame. Oh, look, it matches my sweater almost.
Oh, look at that.
It's a little more golden, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, releasing it is a golden opportunity.
There you go. It is a golden opportunity to release the blame. And how are you? And here is Gerald. G'day, sir. Just when I arrive, yes, we are talking about glitter and sand and certain infections with when we're supposed to be talking about blame.
You can see how much everybody wants to talk about tonight's topic.
Yeah, Michelle says he's here. Yes, blame, glitter, sand, and confetti. There we go.
But there's no blame for the glitter, sand, or confetti.
Oh, I had a bit of blame for confetti. I did. Just a bit. We did laugh, though, so it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, indeed.
And inevitably, when there's glitter and you can't find the end of it, you go, let the glitter go everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Morgan and I used to do crafts when he was little. Yeah, we had a glitter problem. Yeah.
And the Love Shack, yes.
Oh, true. Yes. And the love shack. The love shack. That is kind of what it is. Shelter and protect your relationships with shack. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel as though we might be complete.
I think we've talked about a wide range of wonderful subjects.
Can you make it stream confetti next week's live? Yes.
I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Because he's got that special thing on his screen that makes confetti, which is fun.
Nice.
Awesome. Jonathan just came in and commented on the giggles. I figured that was Janice and Jen. Woohoo!
Perfect.
We did too. It's
Mhm.
awesome. Yes, exactly. Glitter makes it all better. Mm-hmm. It brightens everybody's day. Right?
And everything else it touches.
Forever and ever. Oh dear. We are raising our vibration. This is why I love doing this show with all of you guys here. Until Jeffrey has to clean it up. Yes.
It's okay to be perfectly imperfect in the cleaning process.
It is. Gerald brings all the glitter. I don't know. You guys did a pretty good job of bringing the glitter before he got here. So
I think so.
We need to send glitter out into the world. Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
So visualize light coming down through and going out your hands as glitter.
Little glitter specks of love.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Depends where you put the glitter, I suppose. Yeah, we had that conversation too. Look back in the notes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Hard to get rid of completely.
Mm-hmm.
You can never get rid of the love and light.
Yeah.
You know, love and light's here to stay. That's it.
Yeah.
We are not giving in. We are love and light. We embody love and light. That's what we're here for. Right?
Oh, God.
All right. Yeah, kind of. Just like a Twilight vampire, all sparkly and glittery. Yeah. That's a whole other topic. Vampires.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are sparkly and glittery.
Yeah, on there they are.
Twilight vampires. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are hilarious.
Lots of fun. Well, I am once again in awe of all of you and appreciate you all so much for joining us here on Twillow Talk. Jen, did you want to start our new tradition?
Oh.
So Jen got a new pack and a new deck pack.
I did.
And it's full of ways to increase our or work on our feminine, divine feminine.
Yeah, I got a new deck. This is, I'll let you guys see. It's Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. Absolutely beautiful deck. They're wisdom cards. And so, yeah, what we're going to do is they're not going to be the deck that we use as the new deck moving forward, but they have different things to do. Yeah. So each end of show, we're going to pull one as an activity to bring us through the week until the next.
Yep.
So what does...
So it's your homework.
Yeah, we're going to have homework moving forward. So homework?
Home play.
Home
there we
fun.
go. Home play.
Does that work? Home play? Is that what we want to do?
Let's do it as home play. Yes.
Okay.
Michelle says that's perfect timing for Navaratri.
It's interesting because it's the fall, but we got plant a seed.
Okay, so seeds can be in many forms. They could be seeds of wisdom, right? Planting seeds of wisdom with somebody. We can plant seeds in a pot.
Well, we can.
I actually did a course one time, taught a course, planting the seeds of self-love. And we planted forget-me-nots in pots that we had, did some work with symbols and stuff. In what does love mean? What does self-love? What is self-care? And we put those symbols all around the pot, this terracotta pot. And then we put energy into forget-me-nots seeds, and then we planted those in the pots. And we were every time we watered it and took care of it, it was to remind us, so that we don't forget-me-nots, to do our self-care.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I'm going to read it. There are short little blurbs for each, so I'm going to read them too. Okay, ready? Plant a seed. An idea is trying to be born, grandchild. Enter the realm of the sacred feminine and plant that seed. Every good gardener knows that planting a seed is the first step in creating fruit. And every seed knows when to sprout. Is your garden ready? Like the perfection found in Mother Earth's garden, your soil must be nourished and thawed and warmed by Grandfather Sun after a cold spell. Hold that seed in your hand, and as you place it in the soil, let it show you its sacred nature. Plant the seed knowing that all of creation supports its growth, for that is sacred law. Plant your fruitful idea. Your mind is like the soil. When it is open and nourished, it receives wisdom from the spirit realm. A mind without careful tending is like a garden overrun by weeds. Good ideas that bring you in alignment with spirit cannot take root in a mind filled with fear and distraction. Tend to the weeds in your mind and let your idea show you its sacred nature. Know that all of creation supports its growth.
Beautiful.
Plant a seed.
Warm, moist, and divine. Yes. Divine feminine. So that's your home play this week. Plant a seed. Particularly those of self-love or self-care. All right. Or seeds of love, as Heather says. Sowing the seeds of love. Plant the seeds and watch them grow. One seed can bring many flowers. So allow that to blossom. And with that, any final words, Jen?
Plant the seed. Plant the seed of love. Plant whatever seed is growing within you. And a big part of that is tend the garden. Be good to yourself. Bring in self-love. Bring it home. And that's going to be what really lets that seed grow.
Yes, indeed. And in terms of events, do you have anything coming up?
What do I have coming up? That is a really good question. I think I have some stuff coming up, but not quite yet.
Not quite yet. Okay.
So next week we've got this. I think I think my stuff isn't coming up until the end of November. So.
Okay. Awesome. So we've got this next week. Michelle and I are on Wednesday at 7. So join us for that. We're having a Beyond Being Human launch party for their Patreon on Thursday night. So if you want more information on that, reach out, please. And I'm actually teaching Nukti this weekend. So Nukti, for those of you who are aware, it is one that is done after third level of Reiki. So level 3 to master's Reiki. And it is basically, it is Pleiadian healing. It's the English name would be grief relief. It heals grief and trauma at a cellular level. So reach out if you would like more of that, and you'll actually see it on the website. So that's this Saturday. Okay, so that is what's happening for this week, and we will see you next Monday at 5 o'clock. Have an awesome week, everyone. Bye now.